So I've flatted back the paint on the KA this morning. I still think there's an ever so slight yellow tinge to it compared to the old paint, but it's going to have to do now. I 1200 grit and then I 2000 grit and then I machine polished it. Still got a bit of compound to get off. Yeah, so again, I should have really got someone around to do it, one of the mobile guys, or if Stu had been free to get him to do it. Went far too far with it for the scratch that was there. I should have put some stopper in it, as many of you suggested, and just paint that tiny section there. But I just tore into it too quickly without sitting back and thinking about it for a second or two, so I caused myself a lot of work on that. But now I'm going to get the inside all cleaned up on it, and then get some photographs and get it up for sale. Clean the interior of the car. I'm going to try this G101 from AutoSmart that a few people have recommended to me. This isn't sponsored content, we're just going to do an honest review on it. Several channels have recommended, so a few of you have in the comments. I got the AutoSmart guy, Mark, to come around with his van from the franchise. I didn't want to buy online from the main company, I wanted to support a franchisee, so he came round. I told him what I've been using at the moment, which I've been buying small bottles, like 500ml bottles of stuff, like consumer stuff, and spending quite a lot of money on it. So I asked him to give me some suggestions as to what to use, and he also said the G101 is the stuff to give a go. I've got some other products of his which I'm going to give a go and give you an honest review on as well. So let's start off with this. So we've done the photo shoot for our Facebook buy. That's up for sale now on well, it will be up for sale tonight once I put the pictures up. So it's in the line up with the rest of the cars there, hopefully ready for this learner rush with the lockdown coming off edge. What am I talking about? So our white Facebook buy is now in the lineup. That's all done. Be going up for sale tonight. Alongside, it's going to sit in alongside our black KA that we got from the auctions, and then we've got the Nissan Micra. We've got the 3 Yaris's still, and the little red one is in having its MOT over there. So that'll go in the lineup. So I'll have 3 Yaris's, 3 KAs, the Nissan. This is coming inside because I've now got the rear axle here for it, and then the red one will go in its place. So hopefully I'm all set for the rush of kids who are going to pass their test when they open the test centres on Monday. Fingers crossed that's the score, because 90% of my cars do sell to first time drivers, which is why I've probably been a bit quieter over lockdown than some other dealers who do more of a mix of stock. So that's what I'm telling myself anyway. Normally I sell stuff super quick and it's normally to first time drivers, but obviously they haven't been around much at the moment, so fingers crossed that's what's happening. But I've got to go and clean these because they're getting a bit dirty. Everything's getting a liberal second dousing of WD-40 before I get cracking on this axle tomorrow, because we all know this is going to be rusted up to hell, isn't it? Everything here is going to be really seized up, so do myself a favour, get it doused before we go. Specifically as well the brake lines, because they're a bugger for braking, and then you have to start making up brake lines and it takes a load more time, so we want to douse those for sure. And this can sit and fester while I clean up the new axle before it goes on. So the replacement Alto axle's in, the used one. I've checked it, the spring hangers are in good condition actually. The metal's still nice and thick and chunky on those ones, but it is, as we would expect, to be a bit crusty. So stay a bit later tonight, wire brush it off, get some hammerite on it so that I can fit that tomorrow on the car, because otherwise I've got to do this first thing in the morning and then wait for it to dry, so I'll be held up. Time's money, isn't it? So let's crack on and get it done. So using a drill and various attachments, we've taken off as much of the loose rust as we can, but typical eBay, lots not mentioned, rotten backing plates on the drums, which means I'm going to have to swap out the drums from the existing car, which is one of the reasons I got it like this, was so I could put the whole thing on in one go and not have to swap the drums over. So yeah, a bit of a bummer there. So we'll give it a coat of something now, so it'll be ready for the morning. I mean, obviously I do rest those on MGBs, and something like this, if I was putting a used one back in, I'd spend an entire day wire brushing the hell out of it, sanding it, prepping it, but obviously a car like this just doesn't merit that kind of time on it, so we've got the most of the loose stuff off, and we'll just get a coating of something on it. A pot of cure rust and a brush. I want to work this into the areas that we know are most likely to be the ones that are going to rot out, so we'll do these spring hanger bits down here, and then we'll see how much we've got left over. The whole thing's now had a liberal dousing of cure rust, so do I think it's going to stop the rot in its tracks? No, it's just going to basically make this last longer. Certainly longer than another Alto out there of the same age that hasn't had its rear axle wire brushed and covered with cure rust. I just remembered I can't put Hammerite on this. It has to dry off completely, like 24 hours. I've done it before, and Hammerite peels straight off this stuff if you don't allow it to dry off completely, so that's going to have to happen in the morning. That said, I don't know, do I need to Hammerite it? I'm not sure. With the cure rust it turns black anyway, as it reacts with the metal, and it didn't come out of the factory with a coat of paint, so I don't know that it needs one when it goes on really. I'll decide in the morning, I think. So if you want a lesson in checking the obvious first, I've had this Honda Jazz back in with a warranty claim for the passenger window not working. So if we put the key in, nothing happening with that window at all, completely stuck there. So you go and check the switch on the other side, and it's still not working. So we checked it and we've got power to the switch, and we ordered a new switch in. So the customer's just dropped it off us to fit the new switch in. Put the new one on, still doing nothing. Old Petey comes in and says, "I'll have a look for you, James." Let's try and work out what it is. Hops in the passenger seat, looks at the switch and goes, "Well, she's knocked the lock button down." That is, honest to God, all it was. We completely missed that when it came in the first time. We had the door card off, we were checking for power to the window, blah blah blah, and all the time this switch must have been down, because we were getting power showing to that window, and thought, well, it must be the switch has failed. I just changed the switch out, I thought it must be the motor that's failed. Pete comes along and goes, "Well, she's got the lock button down." Oh my God, I've got to go and pick her back up again in a second, and you know me, tell her the truth. Obviously there'll be no charge, it wouldn't have been under it was warranty anyway, but yeah, big lesson there. Check the obvious stuff first, don't assume anything's gone wrong. It is a Honda after all, isn't it? Brilliant. Rightio guys, on the Alto, this all happened off camera I'm afraid, because up to a few minutes ago Stu had a Porsche Cayenne right here he was working on, trying to get some glass in, so I didn't want to disturb him, and also I didn't really have the room to do the shots. The Alto, I did talk about paying somebody else to do it, didn't I, to fit the subframe for me, getting PT in to fit the subframe, but I thought, good experience for me. I'm tight on margin anyway, so save 100 quid, have a go at doing it myself. This has taken me about 2 hours, so not too bad. Took some advice from Pete. I was going to swap the whole thing over, wasn't I, with all the drum brakes and everything. He said, actually, no, disconnect the old ones, leave them hanging off the car, excuse me, my bottle over, leave them hanging off the car, because then you won't have to muck around with the handbrake cables, the shoes, all of that. It can go back on. So I've disconnected the brake pipes and left the arms in, because they're not rotten at all. So I will wire brush those off and give those a coat of stone chip before I put it back on again, and strip down the other axle, which has allowed me to get even more access in. And I have stone chipped it all now, as well as cure rusting it. I've stone chipped it. This is all the old brakes off of it. I spoke last time about the backing plates. I didn't realise that they're not actually the proper backing plates. If you look at the shoes here, that's the actual backing plate for the shoes. It's just like an extra cover over the back that doesn't serve any real purpose. So I'm just going to wire brush them and tidy them up. The MOT guy said it's not a fail on that, because the brake drum itself is fine. So, and they've got plenty of meat on the pads as well, and it actually looks relatively, the springs and all that, and the pistons all look fairly new in there, so that's looking like it should be okay. But like I say, I'll give all this a wire brush and a paint up before it goes back on again. Shock absorbers wise, I'm going to get them off. I might not replace them because it's only the shroud at the top. If you look at the one that's off the car, it's actually this bit here that's rotted away. I could actually use this one. This one's good, but it's actually this here that's rotted away. The shocks themselves are still good, and there's no leaking or anything on them. So it's just a covering shroud at the top, which is a bit untidy. So I'll get them off. I'll have a look at them and maybe just tidy them up. I'll make a decision when they're off on that front. But yeah, it was all actually relatively simple, to be fair. I did, like you say, I doused everything in WD-40 before I did it to make life easier. Kept the ABS pipes connected, so shouldn't be upsetting those. Yeah, all relatively simple. I mean, it's like all this stuff, it's just undoing bolts, really, this kind of thing. And it can appear like a massive job at the time, but once you get into it, it's often not so bad. I have made a hell of a mess. I need to have a little bit of a tidy up before I head home. Tomorrow, Stu's going to make me up new brake pipes because they're a bit crusty towards the back here. Using the shock absorber to the point, they're a bit crusty at the back here, so we're going to replace those brake pipes while we're at it. There's still a chance of making some profit in the car. Won't be huge. Could make maybe £200–300 out of it, which is better than a loss. And at least we'll go out the door knowing that we've sent out a safe car, and we kind of future-proofed it a bit by taking the time to cure rust and stone chip it for them. But yeah, so we'll get all this back in now. Not now, tomorrow. I'm going to go home now. And then take it from there. Like I said, I don't want to start putting it back together yet because Stu's going to do the brake pipes, and it's going to be a lot easier for him without all this in the way. And I want to wire brush. Before I go, I will wire brush these off and give them a coat of stone chip before we start bolting everything back together again. Might as well take the opportunities we've got it. The red Ford KA's now in the lineup with the rest of the cars there, looking really smart. I actually think she's probably the best looking of the KA's we've got now, in that red and black. But I've always been a massive fan of red and black cars. So I've got a full lineup now. I've got my 3 Yaris's, I've got my 3 KA's, I've got my little Nissan sitting in the middle there. A chap just rang up for a 500 off me because he had a recommendation to come to me for a 500, but I actually haven't got any 500s at the moment, but I have got space right here. And I have potentially got a couple more spaces if I twist Lee's arm over the road. So I do need to go shopping. What I need to buy though is something that I need no work on, so I'm going to be looking for newer cars, probably 2013 at the oldest, 14, 15, condition 2s, 3s and 1s. Because I want to have a little break for a bit and not be fiddling around with cars and crack on with my MGB project. I don't know how many of you new to the channel know that I have actually got this in the background and just haven't been cracking on with it for a long while. But I've got a wide body MGB I'm building for myself, lightweight, fiberglass doors, rear wings, bonnet, front quarter. It's called a Sebring kit. I've had it stripped down for a long while and started bolting panels into it. But I'd like to get a little bit of time into it. What I'd like to do next is spray the engine bay and get the engine that Lee's built me, the overboard engine, into it with the gearbox, so that potentially it could be able to be moved about. Before I start doing the bodywork inside of things, I can always tape off the bay afterwards. But yeah, I'd like to get some time in on this because it's been sitting there for ages. And like I say, I've been getting a bit involved in every car I've done so far, so it'd be nice to have some easy ones. But before that, I've got to get this little terror done, haven't I? Don't worry if anyone's sweating it, I did tidy up before I headed off home. I'm heading off home now that I've tidied up a bit. I've left my tools out, but that's because I'm on it first thing in the morning. But yeah, I had a good tidy up. Just realised you guys might think I was leaving it in that state. Right, guys, Saturday morning and it's all in. Actually, I would say if you weren't going to take the time to wire brush everything, cure rust it and paint it like I did, you could probably get this done in 2 hours. It wasn't actually the headache I thought it would be. I mean, obviously I've got the advantage of a lift, so everything's hanging, and took tension off the springs and stuff and made that a bit easier, and I had a stand here that I could put it on, hold it up there, but yeah, not too bad. So I say wire brushed everything, cure rusted it, and then it's got stone chip all over it. We've torqued up the drums again, the hub nuts on them, so they're all ready to go. Yeah, the only thing that's left is to replace this brake pipe here that was the one the MOT guy wanted doing. Stuart's going to do that for me. I can do brake pipes, but I don't particularly enjoy it. So he's going to do me a favour and do that. Tidied up those shocks, trimmed them down, so we haven't got any crustiness on them anymore. Like I said, they were functioning fine, they just looked unsightly. So yeah, not too bad a job really. And at least we've sort of future-proofed it for the next person. That a lot of the areas that we know are going to get crusty, we've treated. So should be a good little car for them. I've got to get on the front and check the front discs and pads, see if they need swapping out while we're at it. See, there's a backing plate that's a bit rotten there that could do with fiddling with. But yeah, not too bad. And the sun is out. So the question is what to do with myself now, because I've cleaned all my cars in my lineup. I've got to get the grey Micra in. I want to do a little bit more paint on the grey Micra, but I won't do that today because Stuart's painting in the spray booth today and I don't want to be putting other paint up and about. So I've got all my cars in my lineup. They're all ready to go. But Rally's looking a bit filthy, and I have got the stickers now turned up, so I'm going to stick a set of stickers on it, the proper Rally stickers on it. I'll do another set when I do the respray, but for the moment I'll just stick a set on it. And obviously I could actually start sanding up the wheels, but I'm probably going to send them out for sandblast and save myself some time. So maybe I'll have an afternoon off, I don't know. But then my afternoon's off, what I want to do, I want to play with cars, so I may as well stay and play with cars. Come over to bother the MPD guys and it looks like Jack's playing with his old bus. I'm going to find out what he's up to. That's it, it's decided. I'm going to go home and go fishing on the pond. If you're going to be self-employed and work very hard for your money, then there has to be some upsides to it every now and then. And I think with the sunshine out today, go and spend some time with the family, sit by the pond with a picnic, I think. So thanks as always for watching, guys. Really appreciate all the comments, and as you know, I'll probably be getting a video out very soon within the next couple of days or so.